So hey weebs, welcome to Hikari Anime. So today we are going to explain my way of killing gods in another world. So in this manga, basically what happens is that a college boy teleports to another world and he confronts the gods there. So without wasting any time, let's start today's video. So at the start of the episode, we see a college in which our protagonist, Chenzili, is sitting. And he says that I am very genius in studying. There is no question in this world that I cannot solve, but I find one question very difficult. And he tells how he fell in love with a troublemaker girl. And then we see that girl Yumi, who is sitting on Zili's desk.
And she tells Zili that I have to play games again tonight. That's why I'm giving you this homework again today. And looking at her, her teacher shouts that she is a student desk, not your pet. So get out of there quickly. Then Zili takes a copy of Zumi and tells Zumi that, can I play a game with you today? Then Zumi says that I have a lack of a healer anyway. So tonight at 8.30 in Newbie Village, my ID is busting heart. Then Zili comes home thinking about Zumi's ID. And there is an announcement on the way that today at 8.30 there will be thunderstorms in his city. So turn off all electronic devices at that time so that there are no accidents.
Then we see that Zili has come home, and he says, Mom, I'm home. So his mom says, How did you come so early today? So he says, The weather was not good today, so I got off early. Then his mom says that, Yes, it was raining a lot today. Come on, you rest. Dinner is about to be made. Then Zili says, Mom, did a package come to your house today? So his mom says that, Yes, I put it in the corridor. Then Zili looks at that package, on which it is written, Cosmos. And he takes that package and goes to his room. Then his mom says, When did you start playing games? It's okay. Come down after eating for a while. Then she thinks, he is behaving as if he has promised to meet a girl. Then we see Zili, who is lying in his bedroom, and he has a helmet-like device in his hand, and he says that this is Cosmos. 2. This is the most popular VR game these days, and he says that with the help of this device, he can also get real-life experience in the game. Then he says that I was stupid. I should have played this game a long time ago. Then a notification comes on his phone, so he turns on this device and wears it. And he says that this is the first time I am dating someone. Then that device turns on, and we see that Zili reaches another world. There is a voice that says, Welcome to Cosmos. Zili says, Look how cool all this is. Then that voice says that Cosmos is a survival game, which is an open world game, and it has a lot of treasures and artifacts. Please pick your new profession to start a new journey. And there are a lot of professions written on the board, like warrior, magician, monk, archer, etc. Then Zili says that Shiomi said healer, so I should take a healer. Then he chooses a healer. And then the voice comes that your first clothes purchase will be free, so choose that too. Then he says that I should wear some good clothes on my first date. Then he picks a suit, and loading starts. Then we see that there is an announcement in his city in real life. This city is on high alert for thunderstorms, so turn off all electronic devices to avoid accidents. Then a thunderstorm falls on Zili's house, and it directly hits Zili's gaming device, due to which something goes wrong in the gaming device. And Zili gets a current. Then Zili says, What is happening? And then we see that he has disappeared from there. Then his gate opens and his mom leaves from there. And then she says, Zili, do you know why the light went off at our house? So she sees that Zili is not there. Then the scene changes, and we see some monsters who stand around Shiomi. And Shiomi says, Please save me. Then we see Zili, who has come to save Shiomi. And he says to Shiomi, I am very late, and I know you are very scared. But now there is nothing to worry about because I have come. And then they get very close, and they are about to kiss. But then Zili's sleep opens. Yes, he was dreaming. And then we see that there is a grid sitting on it, and that grid is licking him, but Zili is still asleep. That's why he is saying that Shiomi, easy. And then he screams the name of Shiomi and flies away. And he sees the situation around him, and he says that if I live in this hot area, then I will sweat at least 1 liter every hour, and in the end I will be dehydrated and unconscious. And he says that I am not going to play anymore. I didn't know that the difficulty of this game would be so hard. And he says that Shiomi must be waiting for me. I should log out first. Then Shiomi should explain everything. And he starts logging out, but the logout is not happening. Then he says that what is happening? Am I trapped here? Then a voice comes that you have started a mission. And then Zili says that what? And this is the end of chapter 2. And in the start of chapter 3, we see that Zili is screaming that I just wanted to play a game with Shiomi. But how did I get trapped here? I can't log out from here no matter what I do. And I can't contact anyone. Will I be stuck here forever? No, that can't happen. Then we see that 8 hours have passed. And now Zilly is saying that as time is passing, I am realizing that I can't get out of here. This game is just like real life. Even here, as soon as I am getting dehydrated. Similarly, I am getting tired. If this continues, I will die soon. No, no, I have to stay alive. And for that, I will need water. So, first of all, I should find water. Then he picks up a stone and says that this is a limestone. And he says that I had seen in a TV show that limestone is always around the source of water. And he says that the water will definitely be towards those rocky areas. And he starts going that way. But then we see that a beast is watching him from behind, which looks like a wolf. We see that Zilly goes inside a cave, and there is water there. And then he looks at that water and falls on it. And he says that I am very happy to be alive. But we see that the same beast is waiting for him outside the cave, and he is looking towards the cave. And then we see that Zilly says that the problem of water has been solved, but I still can't see the way out of here. This is a game, so there must be a hint to get out of here. And he opens the map and starts looking. But he can only see the area in the map where he has gone before. And then he opens the system panel where his stats are written, which are very low, and he doesn't even have any attack skill. And then Zilly says that I have low stats here. And on top of that, there is no attack skill. If anyone attacks me now, then I have no choice but to run. And he says that first of all, I should see this. I have a lot of equipment. And then he opens the beginner's package, because of which he gets some equipment like gloves and sword. And then he starts running the sword. And then we see that he cuts a stone with the sword. And he says that the durability and hardness of the sword is much more than the real world. And then a warning display is displayed, sword durability -1. And he says that all this is just like a game. And then he comes out of the cave and says that I should get out of here and get food first. Otherwise, I won't be able to stay here for a long time. But then he hears a voice. And going towards that voice, he says that this cave is very big. And he says that I came here and just started drinking water. In fact, I should have investigated here first. Because he sees a bone. And he gets scared to see that bone. Because there is a lot of bones there. And he says that why are there so many animal bones here? And he picks up a bone and sees that there are some teeth marks in it. And he looks at the marks and says that I have seen this mark in some book before. And then he says that no, this can't be. And then he runs away from there and says that it is not empty here. I have to get out of here as soon as possible. And then he slaps him on the same spot, but Genie dodges him. And then something is displayed on his screen, and it says Desert Wolf level 5. And its strength is written that this desert wolf can run at a speed of 10 kilometers per hour even at high temperature. And its speed can go up to 65 kilometers per hour while chasing a prey. And then his NPA also flashes that there is a 3-level difference between Zilly and that beast. Because of this, the attack of that beast will give a crushing effect, which will give 200% damage. And Zilly says that it is not even possible to run from here. 5. Because the beast standing in front of me is much faster than me, so I have to fight. And then he attacks the wolf, and he says that I don't want to underestimate it all. And then something flashes on the screen, and he is shocked to see it. And then the scene changes, and we see the flashbacks of Zilly. And he says that when he was in high school, he was the president of the Kendo Club. And he also says that he was the youngest person in the whole country to take 6 degrees in Kendo. And he says that why did I learn Kendo? The reason is very simple, because his mother was a star chaser when he was a child, and she wanted her son to become a master of Kendo. Because of this, she sends Zilly to learn Kendo at the age of 5 years. And he says that at first I thought that Kendo is very easy. But as time passed, I realized that it is very hard. And to make yourself strong, you just have to practice continuously. So I kept practicing continuously. I kept pushing myself. I used to practice without AC even in very hot weather. And I repeated the same move thousands of times. I used to lose every time. I used to get hurt every time. But still, I kept training continuously. And I kept practicing until I became the youngest person in the whole country who achieved 6 degrees in Kendo. But I didn't stop training even then. Because the strongest in this world exploits the weak. And that's when the last episode ends. They show the same scene, where he has already attacked the beast. But nothing happens to the beast, and the beast picks him up and throws him away. Then Zilly gets up and says that what is this? How can this happen? Didn't the attack affect him? And that's when we hear a voice, that the defense of the giant wolf is very strong. And he says that the weakness of the giant wolf is only his abdomen. So Zilly says that according to this, I should only attack in the abdomen, because if I do it somewhere else, it won't make any difference. But he says that it doesn't matter, because he is so fast that I won't be able to attack him. And if I don't attack, I'll just save myself. Even then, I'll get tired soon, and if this continues, I'll die soon. And he says that this can't happen. Or I can't die. And that's when a warning show happens, which says HP decrease. And Zilly says, wait a minute. If this beast's weakness is only the abdomen, then I know what I have to do. And that's when he starts going towards that beast. And he says that I don't know if this trick will work or not, but I have to take this chance. And that's when we see that he stands in front of the beast, and the beast bites his shoulder. But this is his move, and he puts a sword in the beast's abdomen. And he does R, and he has a very badass look. And he says that now this attack must have been fixed on him. It is impossible to escape from this. And with that attack, the beast dies. And he pushes that beast and says that I won. And he says that I let him attack me on purpose so that his guard goes down and I attack him. This game is very interesting. And that's when a display show happens which says, Sandwolf has cleared, you gain 6,000 experience, level up to 5, and he got 25 skill points. And Zilly says that after the level up, all the villages were filled. And that's when a voice comes. Hidden level mod system launched. And he says, what? Is this a mod? And we start seeing some equipment around him. Then the scene changes and we see Zilly, who is sitting at one place and thinking, this mod is just like a game. Here you get XP by killing mobs, and you get skill points by leveling up, with which we can increase our stats. But still, what is this hidden mod system? Let's see. And then he enters there, and that's when a lot of weapons and equipment are displayed there. Along with that, their special abilities and stats are also displayed. And there are many categories of items shown. And it is said that the player will be level charged to unlock every item. And that's when Zilly clicks on a button, with which it is displayed there. It will take 100 levels to unlock the mercenary system. And that's when a lady warrior comes there as a hologram. And that's when a lot of warrior holograms are displayed there, and every warrior is of different types, like offensive type, defensive type, magic type, assassin type, and etc. And that's when another hologram is unlocked there, which is the service type. And you guys must have understood what this type is. And that's when Zilly moves away from there, and that's when it is displayed that with current level, you can only buy items that are used daily. Then, that's when Zilly unlocks it, with which he gets some food and water. And while eating it, he says that with current level, I can only buy this much, but it will be enough for now. And that's when he asks the system to show skill points. And that's when Zilly looks at the stats and says that, I don't know what are the conditions to assign skill points. I feel that the skill points that I will assign, I can never change them. So according to this, whatever I assign, it will directly affect my future. Then he thinks that whoever I killed, the desert wolf, he was much more powerful than me in terms of attack and speed, although there was only a difference of 5 levels between the two of us. If my encounter was with a powerful monster, what will I do? That's why I have to increase my attack and power, because of which I can get upper hand. Then he increases his physics, strength, and agility, and he says that I gave 5 points to physics so that my HP increases, and 10 points to strength so that I can give more damage to monsters. And whatever was left, I gave it to agility, and as soon as he increases the stats, he feels a lot of power inside him. And he says that as soon as he increased the stats, I started seeing the effect, and he feels his body is very light, and he says that the feeling of becoming strong is very awesome. And as soon as he thinks all this, he hears the roar of a wolf, and if he looks back, there are a lot of desert wolves there. And looking at them, Zilly says that this is the right time to test his power. And then Zilly attacks a desert wolf with his sword in such a way that the mouth of the desert wolf is cut off from here. And then Zilly says that it seems that I have so much power that I can start chewing the wolf's defense. And then he does the same thing with another wolf. And he says that it seems that my ability to shoot swords has also improved a lot due to improving these stats. And then he attacks the whole group of wolves. And then he starts cutting those wolves at a very high speed. He starts tearing. And as he is killing them, his level keeps going up. And then we see that Zilly is sitting on that wolf's body and resting. And we see that he has leveled up to 15, and he has 24000 XP and 75 skill points. And he says that after leveling up, it is very easy to kill mobs. And then he comes out of the cave, and we see that it is night there. And Zilly says that now the weather here is very cold, and I have both food and water, so I can find a way out of here. And he keeps walking, and then his foot hits a wolf's body, and he sees that there are a lot of wolf dead bodies there, and he would not have killed those wolves. And he says that why are these wolves lying dead here? Then we see that someone is killing wolves at a little height. And then Zilly says that looking at these dead bodies, it feels like someone has sucked the blood of the dead bodies. But who can do this? Then he says, 1 minute, this is not the work of a human. And then we see that something is moving towards Zilly. And then Zilly says, But why would the other player kill anyone so recklessly? No, it can't be. And then there is a warning display. And we see that the thing that is moving towards him, he has attacked it. But Zilly somehow escapes it. And he cuts that thing. And we see that just by cutting it, his sword's 25% durability has gone. And Zilly says that I was right. There is no human to kill these wolves, but something else. And then we see that someone is walking towards Zilly, and we see the creature, which looks very dangerous. And looking at him, Zilly says that he is not a human, but a high level monster. And we notice that the creature's hand has been cut because of the attack that Zilly had done earlier. And we see Zilly who is thinking about this creature. And he is very nervous, his hands are shaking, and we see that Zilly has not been able to fully escape the monster's attack. So he has a very big wound on his back. And he says that if I hadn't increased my agility, I would have died by now. And then we see that the monster regenerates his hand, looking at which Zilly is very shocked. Then the details about the monster are displayed on the screen, and his name is Wandering Dominator, and his level is unknown, and it is said that these Dominators live in the Lacnea Desert, and their speed is very fast, and they are at the top of the food chain. No one can escape their prey, and because of fear, Zilly is not able to move. He says that I feel like this creature is pushing me into the ground, and it feels like it is destined to be his prey. This is the first time I have seen such a scary thing, and Zilly is thinking all this, but then the creature attacks him, and Zilly escapes his attack again and again. That attack was very close, and Zilly jumps into the air, and Dominator says that you can't scare me, and Zilly attacks him, but before the attack, Dominator disappears from there. His speed is so high that Zilly does not know anything, and then Dominator comes behind him and punches him, which connects to Zilly, and Zilly falls very far, but he puts his sword in the ground and stops himself from going far, and he says that this is the absolute speed, which was told a little earlier in the system, and then Dominator looks at Zilly and says something, but we don't understand anything, and then he disappears from there, and at a friction of a second he punches him, and Zilly's punch is so fast that it leaves blood from his mouth, and then we see that Zilly comes to his knees, and he says that this attack could have killed me, but why didn't he do that? What is going on in his mind? And then Dominator comes away from him, and he gives him his sword, and then Zilly says that what? Is he giving me a weapon? What does he want to do? And then Dominator tells ASURA to cut his neck, and then Zilly thinks that it looks like I have seen something like this before, and then he thinks that it is exactly the same. Like a cat does not eat after catching a rat, it plays with its prey first. And Zilly says that he is very fast. My normal attacks cannot harm him. And then Dominator grabs Zilly's neck and picks it up. And then he says, human, yes. And then Zilly says that he can speak. And then Dominator says humans are like insects, how weak it is. And then we see that in the meantime, Zilly attacks him and he cuts his hand again and he moves away from him at great speed and he says that you are an insect, weak mind. And then Dominator looks at his cut hand and then he laughs very loudly and says, interesting, it's been hundreds of years since I've met such a human who made me so happy. And then Zilly says, I was also very happy. I have been feeling energy for a long time. My life is too much to live. I can't die here. And he says, now look at this, and starts powering up. While powering up, he looks very cool. We see that he has activated one of his skills whose name is the Blessing of God, Let One Come. And because of this skill, all his stats increased by 100%. His breath starts coming out very dangerously. Then we see Dominator who says, yes, keep doing exactly that. Show me how strong you are. But then he notices something. Zilly has attacked Dominator, and because of this attack, Dominator's chest is torn. Still, Zilly is not calm. He keeps attacking Dominator non-stop. Eventually, Zilly's sword breaks, but he throws the sword away and starts punching Dominator with his own hands. The force of his attack sends Dominator flying. Zilly shouts, I will kill you, and then I will take your XP. But suddenly, smoke fills the area. When it clears, Dominator is no longer there. Someone appears behind Zilly and attacks him. We see that Dominator has transformed. His size is now even more terrifying. He says, stupid human. Human population is only equal to heroes. Zilly falls at his feet and says, I am not successful in defeating him even after doing so much. Then Dominator starts flying into the air, charging up a powerful attack. We see a Reaper behind Dominator. Dominator unleashes his charged attack and yells, now die, human! The attack hits Zilly, causing massive damage. Zilly thinks, am I going to die? A display appears on the screen. Gen 0 HP 0. You have died. But then, we see Zilly again. He is alive and just regaining consciousness. He looks around and sees that he has come to another place. It looks like someone's room. He gets up and starts laughing. Am I alive? He says. Did I log out of the game? No, it doesn't seem so. After all, what is this place? And then he opens his menu, and while looking at it, he says, this thing is still here. It means that I am still trapped in the game. But that monster had killed me clearly. But how am I still alive here? And on top of that, there is no injury in my body. After all, what is all this? And then someone opens the gate of that room, and we see that someone enters there. This is a girl. And then that girl looks at Zeely and says, are you awake? And Zeely says, yes, I woke up. And then there is an awkward silence there. And we see that the girl runs out of the room, and the girl shouts, Grandpa, wake up. He woke up. And then Zeely says, what is all this? Then we see that the boy's grandpa, who is farming. And there are a lot of scars on him, because of which he looks very bad. And then the scene changes, and we see that Zeely is telling their story. And he tells that he was dead. And then the girl shouts, what? You were dead? And then he says, yes, I was dead. There was a hole in my chest. But how did I get here? And then the girl points to that old man and says, when you were hunting Grandpa, you met him there, and you were about to die, but you were alive. And then the boy says, this place is not a game, as you are saying. And on top of that, we are neither NPCs nor players. Then Zeely thinks that this can't be. We are still in the game, and they don't know anything. Yes, it is. And then Zeely shows them his menu, and he says, look. And he tells them that this is the mission tab, this is the equipment tab, and this is the map, etc. And then we see that only Zeely can see that menu. They can't see anything. They think that Zeely has gone mad. So the girl asks her grandpa, Grandpa, did the monster hit him in the head? That's when he lost his mind. And the boy says, yes, I've lost my mind too. And then Zeely looks at the menu and says, I can't contact Zeo. And I didn't get Mai's ID. I can't contact the outside world. And then he gets angry and says, how can I leave this place? I want to go home. And then he hears a voice behind him. No one can go from here. And that voice is the boy's. Then he says, no one can get out of this village. And then Zeely says, why? After all, this is a desert. It doesn't matter how big it is. After all, there must be some way to get out of here. How did you guys get here? Then the girl says that a few years ago, me and Grandpa were hunting a giant dragon on the Bergama continent, but we got stuck in a thunderstorm there. And when our eyes opened, we were here. It is only possible to get out of here when someone finds the location of the Temple of Kabir. According to the stories, this desert is the desert of Kabir. And she says that the Countess people leave this town and go to find the temple. But no one comes back alive. That's why people finally stopped looking for that temple. And they accepted their faith. It's better to stay here than to die. Then he stands behind Zeely, and he puts his hand on his shoulder and says, a lot of people are sent here, but I haven't seen anyone going back. So kids, leave your stubbornness and accept your faith. And then after their departure, Zeely says to himself, impossible. I'm still in the game. And then there is a display in Zeely's mind, which says, the revenge of Kabir's sorrow. Then Zeely looks at it and says, what is this after all? Then he gives a preview of the system mission, and tells that you have been reborn due to the protection of God Kabir. That's why you have to unseal them. So your mission is to find the temple of Kabir, then defeat Nablus, and set God Kabir free. And in return, you will get the key to get out of here as a reward. Here I tell you that Nablus is a kind of monster, which guards the temple of God Kabir. And at the beginning of the next chapter, we see Zeely, which is lying in the field, and thinking, why did you send me here after all? I still don't understand. Well, at least I have a goal. And he says, when will that day come when I can get out of here? Then the girl calls Zeely, and she asks Zeely, what are you doing here? I've been looking for you for so long. Then Zeely says, sorry, I didn't have anything to do. That's why I came for a walk. Then Zeely points to one side and says, isn't that Latonia Desert? Then the girl says, yes, you can say that. Actually, where we are, it is surrounded by the Latonia Desert. Wherever you can see, there is our Latonia Desert. Then Zeely says, if that's the case, then I know how long it will take to find this temple. Then the girl says, there is no temple here. If you leave this place and go, then you will die for sure. Then Zeely leaves and says, I have already died once. I will have to find the last temple, then whatever it is. Then Zeely says, Sileli, let's go to the 7th town. Then Sileli walks with Zeely and says, Zeely, do you really want to find the temple? Then Zeely says yes. Then she says, there are many extremely powerful monsters in the Latonia Desert, and maybe they can't even beat Grandpa Uber. Then Zeely says, don't worry. My fighting ability surprises everyone, and when they are talking, then someone attacks them, and then we see 3 people walking towards them, And then we see the faces of those people. Then one of them says that a car got stuck. And then Zeely says with a cough, "What is going on?" Then he sees that Saleli has stopped that attack with his power. And we find out that Saleli also has magic. Then one of them says, "Saleli, you stopped my attack because of the firewall." And looking at him, Saleli says, "It's you again, Boban." Then Zeely asks, "What is all this, and why is he attacking us?" Then Saleli says, "I forgot to tell you. Hunter thief is more dangerous than a monster. These people are more interested in stealing people's things than hunting in the Latonia village. This is a bunch of cowards who kill their own people to stay alive." Then we see that Boban makes two swords, and looking at him, Zeely says, "What skill is this?" And then Boban says to Saleli, "You were successful in running away from here last time, but nothing will happen this time." And then we see Saleli who powers up, and Zeely says, "Leave all this to me, and you go and find Grandpa Ubre." Then the scene changes, and we see Ubre, and the weather around him is getting worse. So Ubre says, "Is there going to be a thunderstorm here again?" And he starts going inside his house. And he says while walking, Saleli should have come back from the town by now. And then the scene changes, and we see Shadow. Yes, his name is Boban, but I'll call him Shadow because he's cooler. And he says, "Saleli, your spells can't hurt me. It's better if you come with me. And then maybe I'll think about leaving this idiot." Then Saleli says, "In your dreams." So Shadow says, "Whatever happens next, you'll be responsible for it." And then Saleli says to Zeely, "I'll think of a way to stop them. But you get out of here for now." So Zeely says, "No." So Saleli says, "What did you say?" So Zeely says, "In my dictionary, escape word doesn't exist, although we met a while ago, but I still can't leave my companions alone." Then Shadow grabs Zeely's face and starts fighting. Saleli is worried about Zeely, so she screams loudly, "Zeely!" Then Shadow says to Zeely, "What do you think? Who are you?" At this place, we shake our heads less and shake our hands more. Then Zeely grabs Shadow's hand and takes it away from his head, and he says to him, "What do you think? Are you strong? And I found out how powerful you are that you are secretly attacking." Then Shadow runs away from him very quickly. Then we see that Zeely has broken Shadow's hand, and Shadow says, "What? This boy has so much power that he turned my hand." Then Zeely thinks that this guy is very fast, although I have put all my points in agility, but still I can't see his sneaky attacks. Then Saleli says, "Zeely, are you okay?" So Zeely says, "Yes, I'm fine." Then Saleli says, "Boban, what do you want to do?" So Boban says, "I've told you so many times, I want to make you my girlfriend." So Saleli says, "This can never happen, you stop thinking about it." So Zeely says to Saleli, "He's doing all this for you anyway. He is very good for you."